Hello, this is Retro Workshop, and here is my video of top 5 objective handheld consoles of all time. I will be excluding hybrid consoles, such as the Nintendo Switch. And as always, I will be starting with 5th place and working my way to the winner in 1st place. 5. Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP 2003. The Game Boy Advance SP is the updated version of the Game Boy Advance, which saw hardware changes and a complete redesign. It uses a rechargeable battery, which lasts up to 10 hours on the brighter setting and 15 hours on the dimmer setting, and requires 3 hours of charging. And most importantly, along with its rechargeable battery, it plays the entire Game Boy line of games, giving you a library of 3,000 games and one of the greatest libraries of any handheld system. It is one of the smallest official lines of any handheld console, and came in countless styles and colours. It's a 32-bit system with 240p x 160p display. Hardware-wise, it's naturally not the greatest, however, it's cheap, rechargeable, and plays one of the largest and greatest handheld libraries on one of the smallest consoles ever made, making it a very powerful, albeit outdated machine. List of top games. Game Boy games: Tetris, Pokemon Red, Green and Blue, Super Mario Land 1 and 2, Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong Land 1 and 2, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Country, Metroid 2, and Kirby's Dream Land. Game Boy Advance games: Mario Kart, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance, The Legend of Zelda, Finding Nemo, Donkey Kong Country, Sonic Advance, The Incredibles, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Although it's last on the list, it did easily make the list, as the Game Boy Advance SP is not to be overlooked. 4. Sony PlayStation Portable 2004. The PlayStation Portable, or PSP, was the first handheld console released by Sony and has a battery life of 5 hours and requires 2 hours to charge, which gives it one of the worst batteries on the list. It is not backward compatible with any games and has a library of 1,300 games, giving it the smallest library on the list. Mostly the games are RPGs, first persons, or otherwise action, and it does play a large library of films which were released for the PSP. This, coupled with its excellent controls, such as an analog stick and a 480p by 272p screen, it is still a remarkable handheld console. It also has a lot of multimedia capabilities, of course, and came in many styles and colours, and has a simple interface. However, the screen can be marked and scratched due to the fact it does not fold up in any way if you're not careful. It is also one of the most successful handhelds of all time, sitting at over 80 million units sold. List of top games: GTA, Midnight Club, Ratchet & Clank, GT, God of War, Crisis Core, Need for Speed Most Wanted, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Overall, it is better than the entire Game Boy line of consoles, for a number of reasons, although it does lack in a few key areas, thus putting it 4th place and no higher. 3. Sony PlayStation Vita 2011. The PlayStation Vita is the updated version of the PlayStation Portable. It is not backward compatible and has a library of 1,500 games, which are mostly RPGs, first-person action/shooters, and otherwise, in turn giving it the second smallest library and one of the most subjective. The console is notably rounder than the PSP and features 2 analog sticks, which are more realised than the first, making it one of, if not the single greatest handheld device for first-person shooters. The screen is 960 by 544p. It has remarkable graphics and multimedia capabilities, and features cameras among other elements. The battery lasts 3 to 5 hours and requires 3 hours of charging, coupled with a subjective and relatively small library, means the PS Vita is not great objectively. Although it only sold 20 million units, it certainly deserves more. List of top games: Call of Duty Black Ops, Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Killzone, Final Fantasy X, Borderlands 2, Mortal Kombat and FIFA 15. 2. Nintendo DS Lite 2006. The DS Lite is the smallest DS and uses a rechargeable battery which can last up to 15 hours or more and requires 3 hours of charging, with an average of 10 hours of gameplay. giving it the greatest battery life of all modern handhelds, and it's also one of the smallest and lightest. It plays the entire DS line, non-3DS games, and is backward compatible with the entire Game Boy Advance library, giving a total of over 3,000 games, giving it one of the largest and best libraries of any home or handheld console. Of course, the DS Lite has two screens, the bottom being touchscreen. Both screens have 256 by 192 pixel resolution. It came in many colours and styles, along with many accessories and limited editions. It also has some multimedia functions, Wi-Fi access and online play. It's also generally the cheapest on the list and the cheapest to buy for. Although the graphics and memory are much worse than the PS, it is still objectively better. List of top games: Super Mario Bros., Mario Kart DS, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Brain Age, Super Mario 64 DS, Dragon Quest, Professor Layton, The Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy III, Art Academy, Guitar Hero on Tour, Sonic Colors, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and Pokemon Black and White, coupled with the Game Boy Advance list. 1. Nintendo 3DS Extra Large, 2012. The battery life of the 3DS XL is 3 to 6 hours, and it requires 3 hours to charge. It is backward compatible with the entire DS library of games, including DSi software, and there are 1,300 3DS games, giving a total library of over 3,000 games. It is objectively the best library on this list, and one of the largest. It comes in many colours and styles. Price-wise, the 3DS ends up being cheaper than the PS Vita. However, this one is the very best value for money in terms of modern handhelds. Of course, this time, Nintendo is able to match Sony for the most part, with its 3D cameras, digital content, multimedia capabilities, and otherwise elements, and it's pretty cheap to buy for. And via download, you can download games that were originally released on the older systems, such as the NES and Game Boy Advance. Although the screen resolution is lower than the PS Vita, the 3DS has two screens rather than one, and it also features a large analog stick, named the C-Pad. The top screen is an LCD 800 by 240p, and the bottom is 320 by 240p, in total giving it more than the PS Vita, and in terms of gameplay there isn't much difference most of the time. And the two screens allow for more interactive play, and the ability to close the console, thus making it smaller than the PS Vita, and ensuring screen safety. Although the resolution on Netflix is worse, for example, it's acceptable for viewing on the go. List of top games: Mario Kart 7, Pokemon X and Y, Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario 3D Land, Super Smash Bros. 3DS, Luigi's Mansion, The Legend of Zelda, Monster Hunter, Super Mario Maker 3DS, Paper Mario, Fire Emblem Fates, Super Street Fighter 4, Donkey Kong Country Returns 3DS, Dragon Quest, and Animal Crossing, coupled with the original DS list. All in all, it had to be number one. As you can see, the overall winner is Nintendo. 3 Nintendo consoles, 2 being from the DS line, 1 from the Game Boy line, and 2 Sony handhelds, both being from the PlayStation line. Note that I therefore suggest everybody serious about handhelds, or just starting out, buys at least 3 of these: the Game Boy Advance SP, 1 of the PS models, and 1 of the DS models, although I would suggest 4, omitting either the PS Vita or PSP, depending on which option is best for you. I have been Retro Workshop, and you have been watching my video of top 5 objective handheld consoles of all time. Thank you.